Hi, Paddy. How are you doing? Good to see you.
Very well.
Are you well?
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Well, today we thought we'd kind of sit down, walk through the holes, and discuss what the pros and how they will approach and what troubles they'll see and the experiences they'll have on Royal County Down as we saw it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we saw it in pretty similar conditions to hopefully they're going to have this week. Like, it was pretty calm the day we were there. It's looking like it's going to be similar, dry and calm this week, hopefully for most of the week. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I was out there today and it was looking absolutely impeccable, and excited to be on site this week and yeah, watching it unfold.
So let's just run through the holes. We've got the first, which is a par 5. They'll be playing at about 540.
Yeah, it's not that long for them, and I think there's not too much trouble around the green. There's a couple of bunkers, but nothing crazy around the green. I would say most players would be going for this, and also the tee shot is actually, as the course goes, pretty generous. It's not the hardest tee shot on the golf course. Yeah, I think that'll be a chance for a lot of guys to start their round well, and definitely expect to see a lot of birdies there.
The second is a kind of, they'll be playing at about 444, if not a wee bit longer. And it's not a difficult driving hole. It's kind of like you put those guys will be hitting 3-wood.
The issue on 2 is you have basically a bottleneck before the green, which where it becomes very narrow, and there's a bunker in the middle of the fairway, kind of blocking access to the green, so you can't drive one the whole way up there. So, like you said, I think we'll be expecting a lot of 3-woods and a lot of laying up on this hole to then hit their approach up and over that bunker and down towards the green.
So the next hole has got one of the great tees on the course, and then it's yet again, you're essentially, for these guys, laying up, because the fairway juts out, the fairway stops at about 320, 330.
And I think these fairways, it's interesting, these kind of divided fairways, you have a couple of those on the front 9 where there are literal obstacles in the middle of the fairway which restrict your tee shot and basically force you to hit a good approach shot. And I think approach play is going to be important, as well as obviously hitting the fairway on a lot of these narrow, blind tee shots. But on some of them, you are still forced to hit fairly long approaches, and I think that's going to be fun to watch as well this week.
On to what I think is maybe the best tee site on the course. I absolutely loved the fact that you didn't see these tees, and then they're just nestled so pretty into the dunes.
This is such a cool hole, like
amazing, isn't it?
All over and over again, I think.
Yeah, again, you have this green site that cambers towards you, and a whole load of bunkers that visually off the tee are in your head, but shouldn't be.
Yeah, really chunk one. You shouldn't be going anywhere near those bunkers.
Yeah, exactly.
They look daunting from the tee box.
On to the 5th, another great hole. Take off as much of the rough as you want, but the further right you go, you start to play with some bunkers.
Yeah,
and the further left you go,
that's certainly a driving hole. That's a hole where the guys can really lean on driver, and there's plenty of space out to the left there if you're going to draw it. And the real trouble there is right. If you end up pushing one right, you can end up
you're dead.
Real problems.
You're absolutely dead. So on the 6th, we've got a kind of shorter for these guys, about just under 400 yards. They'll be able to play whatever they want onto this fairway. It is blind, but they'll know exactly which blade of grass to play over. A slightly raised green that is tiny from where you're standing. It looks bigger than it is. It's just so hard to hit. So on to 7, which is probably one of the cool par 3s of the world in terms of the view.
Yeah, amazing. Turning back to play into the mountains is always a really special feeling on this course. And another really cool par 3, but a shorter hole and probably a birdie opportunity for some of these guys.
Yeah, you're right at the top of the course, and you're able to see. You say birdie, but yeah, again, it's that runoff.
Yeah,
it's a reoccurring theme. We'll see what happens, but the bunkers are at this distance are quite manageable for them. On to 8th, playing about 430. I think they're just going to smash something as far as they can down this hole.
Yeah, I think so. One of the slightly more open fairways, a few bunkers which could potentially cause issues, and again it bottlenecks a little bit as you get closer to the green. But I think probably a big driving hole.
It sounds mad, but it still is quite small. But one of the larger greens on the golf course.
Yeah. And I think the challenge of this green is there's no bunkers around the green. I think it's very much the camber, which you can really see on this hole is that upturn bowl effect. And I think that's it's going to just be holding the green. That's going to be the challenge on this one.
9th, one of the cool tee shots of this golf course. You play over this massive kind of dune onto quite a large area.
Yeah, the tee's miles back from where we played, obviously, and it just looks so intimidating from back there because they're going to be hitting it over the ridge onto the second fairway, but you can't see it at all. It's totally blind, and the bit of fairway that you can see is so narrow that it's certainly mentally a very difficult shot to hit there. But yeah, I think this was probably my favorite hole on the course. Just super visually impressive, and as a player walking over that ridge down onto the fairway where hopefully your ball's sitting is really, really cool.
Right, we're back from the clubhouse. You've got the raised tee down to another kind of 200-yard par 3. I would say this is not an easy hole, but one of the easier and larger greens to hit on the golf course.
Yeah, it's a pretty benign par 3, really. They're not going to be able to do that much with the tee there, so it'll be very similar from the tees that we played because it's that raised tee right in front of the clubhouse. So yeah, I think this hole will probably be another opportunity to find a birdie and build a bit of a score for these guys. And I think particularly after 9, where I'd expect to see probably 9 playing slightly over par, I'd expect players to be trying to find a bounce back birdie on 10.
So this whole next 11th was about it's going to be playing about 440, another blind tee shot, and anything slightly you're safe left here.
Again, it's blind, but probably fairly open once you're up there. So a tee shot that I expect them to try and lean on and get as far down there as possible, probably.
We'll move on to the 12th, which is a 525-yard par 5. Another chance for these guys to step in a drive, but it does tighten up.
Yeah, another birdie opportunity for them. It's almost certainly a 2-shot par 5 for most of these guys if they hit the fairway. You know, the way professional golf is played, I think for a lot of them it'll just be get it on or around the green, and it'll be an easy up and down for a lot of them. If not,
take that birdie, move on.
Yeah.
13th is a great hole, another very cool hole, and I can imagine these guys are just going to play up to essentially to the bend and then play on. I can't imagine they're going to try and hit something too big here.
But I can't imagine the approach will be as difficult for them as it was for us. I think for both of us, it was completely blind, playing over that rough on the right. I think for them, if they get it far enough down there, it could actually be a friendly enough approach.
Yeah, I can't imagine there'll be too many birdies in that hole. 14, another long par 3, where bunkers guard front left, and they really will be playing to the middle of the green here.
Yeah, not an easy hole this, and I'm really hoping to see some players in those bunkers on the right. I think it's a fairly substantial miss to get into those bunkers, but if we see a bit of wind, we could definitely see it. I was in one of them, and almost just out of envy, I want to see some of them in there as well, I think.
On to 15. This is a hole that'll be interesting because smashing a drive up to the top of the ridge, will they run out of space?
Yeah, they definitely will. I think you and I just stood on the tee and saw a wide open fairway and smacked drives, and both of us, I think, did you lose yours? I nearly lost mine, I seem to remember. I think they will run out of space, so it'll be interesting to see if they try and play a drive again. You can see that really narrow bottleneck on the fairway as it bends around to the right. It will be interesting to see if they just lay something up to that first section of fairway, or if they do try and get up into that narrower section and beyond.
RCD is very clever with the way of making you think about your tee shot more than most golf courses.
If you do miss left or hit your drive too far, there are some spots on the left of this fairway that are pretty gnarly where players who take it on a bit too much could end up in real trouble.
Now on to the three. I'll be playing about 335, 340, 16th, and this will be a drivable par 4 depending on the wind.
Yeah,
a real birdie opportunity for these guys.
Yeah, I think along with one and maybe 10, this is one of the easiest holes on the course. I think for them, they will just bomb stuff up there, even if they find one of those bunkers on the front left or the front right. I think there'll be a lot of birdies made on this hole.
On to 17, and we were talking about this earlier. It's a par 4 that won't be too long for them, but there is an area that you can run out into that is a dead waste zone.
Yeah.
So they'll be laying up short of that.
Yeah, that waste zone is really interesting. I saw a couple of players today practicing. A few of them hit full drives and actually one of them ended up on the right of it in that tiny little strip of fairway. I think most players are going to be definitely just trying to lay up before that because it takes up a majority of the center of the fairway there. And if you end up in that, you can be in real bother, even though you're only 100 yards from the green. Finally
on 18, par 5, dogleg left up to the clubhouse.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where the tee is going to be, I think regardless, it's going to be a 2-shot par 5 for these guys. And
well, it depends on the wind.
Yeah, of course. If we get strong winds, it could be much more challenging. The final 3 holes are really present an opportunity, and I think that could make it exciting come Sunday afternoon. 16, 17, and 18 are all birdieable for these guys, and I think that's going to make it really exciting, hopefully, because there aren't that many holes on the course which are like definite birdie chances, and really 3 of them are the last 3, and that's definitely exciting. Can't wait to watch. Can't wait for you to join me at RCD this week, James, and looking forward to walking the course with you and hopefully getting some more content out this week as we cover the event and we're there in a media capacity. It's going to be exciting.